Well, hey, welcome to the X podcast. Here with my smiling friend,
Hey,
Tim. How are you?
I'm great. How are you doing?
You have a lovely grin.
Oh, thank you.
Do you like your grin?
No.
No?
Yesterday, I don't know how this came up in the office, and somebody basically said, let's go around the room and talk about what you're insecure about.
Yeah.
Is this leftover from the message?
And there must be. We had a message, incredible message.
Oh, one of the best I've ever heard. I wonder who preached that one
on
at our church, at X Church.
So, yeah, somebody wanted to have a productive roundtable.
It was not productive. It was
our insecurities. And I said, it just bothers me how people are always like, Russ, like, your triceps are so big. And I'm just like, man, like, it just causes a lot of like
yeah, sure,
internal angst. Anyways, we're going to find our way through this discussion today. First off, I don't know when this will come out, but we just are coming out of July 4th weekend.
Yeah.
A very fun weekend. Mm-hmm. You were soaking up the rays by the pool again this past Monday.
I don't do it that often.
Doesn't it just seem like Memorial Day weekend was just like a couple weeks ago?
Yeah, it does.
But it was a fun time. What'd you do this past weekend?
I saw you.
You saw me.
I was with you. We went to a hangout with a good portion of our staff and other friends and neighbors over at one of the guys on staff that he has a pool and graciously hosted. Yeah. So that was a lot of fun. We had a great weekend at the X Church and did a at the movies one-off with Jumanji. That was a lot of fun.
Zach was swimming in the pond.
Yeah, he was trying to. Yeah, it was a fun weekend. I think sometimes you got to just have fun.
Yeah, it was a great weekend. And I did have I had an experience Friday I want to talk about.
Okay.
It was not good. Now, what I'm about to say is really, we're talking about, this is the epitome of first world problems.
Yeah.
But I go to the chiropractor on Friday, and as I'm about to leave, and people make fun of me, but look, we've put it on record that I'm bad with directions. Okay. So by default, even if I know how to get somewhere, I'm usually using the Maps app on my phone.
Yeah.
And so I'm getting ready to go somewhere, and I have no service on my phone. No Wi-Fi, no service, and it comes up and it says that you need to replace your SIMS card. Mm-hmm. First question, like anybody would say, what the heck is a SIMS card? But then I look, there's nothing I can do about it. I go to cellular plan, and it says, do you want to add a cellular plan? As if I didn't have one. So I drive around until I find a Verizon.
How long did that take you?
Actually, I surprised myself at how much I became Magellan that day. I was Cortez discovering the Americas of Columbus. You see the little wordplay there?
Columbus,
yeah. And so I found a Verizon, and honestly, I was more frustrated than I felt comfortable being frustrated with, because I had a whole Friday plan. You know, when you have a whole day planned, all these things you want to be productive on. But I got to a Verizon, and I said, hey, why is my Wi-Fi, nothing's working? And they said, actually, you're the third person today that this has happened to. I was driving here, and all of a sudden something popped up on my phone about a SIMS card, and I have nothing. And we think it's a glitch with the update of the Apple phone.
What a shock.
What a shock.
Apple updates and your phone doesn't work.
Exactly. And they said, and there's nothing we can do about it. You're going to have to go to the Apple store.
Yeah. How in the world would you figure out how to get to the Apple store?
I know.
Even though you go to Easton every single day of the week almost.
Yep.
Let's ask this question.
You.
Do you map yourself to Easton every single time you go?
Yes.
Wait, you do?
I usually do, yes. It's just by default.
You've been going there for years.
But this will make you, it should make you proud, but this maybe is a little bit of a relief. So I'm like, okay, I'm already in the Pickerington, Reynoldsburg area. I drive around. I run a couple errands, go to First Watch, have breakfast, brunch, do some things. And then I'm like, okay, I got to find my way to Easton. This sounds so bad. But if you know me, admittedly, this is my worst trait. So, but I drove, and I was like, actually, okay, the gym's right there. I do know how to get from the gym back to my house by default. And I bet muscle memory is in my brain of how to get to Easton. Anyways.
Wait. Did you drive back to your house so that you could then drive to Easton?
The point
because it would be more familiar?
The point is, I made it to Easton Apple. And when I get there, they said, Sorry, this is probably a Verizon issue. I said, are you kidding me?
Oh.
This is an Apple issue. And they said, okay, let's look. And then they said, oh, sorry, Genius Bar is full until tomorrow. So I'm like, my whole weekend, then this is sad. This shows again, first world problems. But they said, or tonight we could get you into Polaris. And I said, okay. I said,
you said I can't get there from here.
I said, listen, I need your help. So they're like, well, we could just try something.
Yeah.
So they tried something, and thank God, on the spot, it fixed the issue. I don't know what they did. I think they replaced the SIM card, whatever that is. I thought that was a TV show.
But anyways, don't know what a SIM card is.
They replaced. I have an inkling, but they replaced the SIM card, and long story short, phone's working again. Bring all that up to say, it reminded me. I mean, it sounds like a small little disruption, but it threw off my whole weekend. And I don't know about you, but I feel like I've had a million of those kind of things lately. And it kind of reminded me of, a podcast I think I sent you a while back, or you watched. Are you taking a picture of me?
So, oddly enough, not to interrupt, but it's Be Real right now.
It's Be Real?
Yeah, you got to look and smile. Yeah, so it's Be Real. So right in the middle. So, okay, sorry. Go back. I just having a look. So for people who don't know what Be Real is, it's a new...
I heard you've been posting some on Be Real.
It's a new social media thing. And so literally we'll have this one posted. Look, it does both cameras. So it has, look, it's got me and it's got you right in the middle of our podcast.
Cool. Where we go.
So we posted it in the middle of the podcast.
So if you're listening,
sorry,
Be Real.
Okay.
Listen, we've had some heavy hitter episodes lately, all about Roe v. Wade and guns. So we're gonna have a light one, and it's gonna sound a little bit negative. And I hate negativity, but I just want to riff on some some pet peeves of some of the disruptions that some of us are feeling right now. Because the phone thing is a small disruption, but I sent you a podcast a while back, and it's Mark Sayers, Carrie Newhoff talking about all these predictions of the future and how some people think, oh, we're going to get back to normal on one extreme. Oh, we're going to have a dystopian, apocalyptic existence like, what's
the movie with Will Smith?
Walking Dead kind of stuff.
What's the movie with Will Smith where everybody's like dead except for him and
Eli, Book of Eli?
Nope.
No, that's Denzel Washington. Anyways, but the point is, those that really kind of, I feel like have their pulse on the future, I think it's going to be somewhere in between. It's not. I don't believe we're heading into dystopian times, but I do think we're heading back to a historic norm, which is disruption. Disruption is the norm. Disruption historically across the globe. I think we were lulled to sleep kind of by like a false heading towards utopia of things getting better and better and better, and we took a lot for granted. And I think what the trends are showing us post pandemic is not that we're heading toward dystopia, but I do think there's things we've taken for granted a lot we're not going to be able to continue to take for granted as much. There's going to be more disruptions with technology. I think there's going to be more disruptions when it comes to wars. I think there's going to be more disruptions economically. I think there's going to be more disruptions as far as one of the most annoying things lately is flights.
Yeah.
I've had several flights canceled lately.
Yeah.
And every weekend, big holiday weekends, we're still, because of staff shortages, fuel, they're warning that travel's not going to normalize. And so I just, this sounds negative.
All this because your phone quit working.
All this because my phone quit working.
We are going to a dystopian, end of world, apocalyptic, zombies are coming because your phone quit working.
I want to know from you, what's...
I think it's funny.
What are your... Have you had any of those moments lately?
None. Life has been perfect, and I've no. Surely there has been. We've all faced disruptions. There's been disruptions, and air travel has been a big one.
Yeah,
I know when we were. Thankfully, my last flight that I went down to Houston and back, it was without. I didn't have any issues, but there were flights all around me that were a mess. I forget one hop where I landed, and there was flights had been canceled, and there were people everywhere trying to get home. And so disruption in air travel, you wonder if that's like here to stay. I hope not, but I think I've heard a big issue is not having enough staff. Like literally they might have planes that are just grounded sitting there because they don't have either the pilots or the flight stewardess and stewards to be able to operate them.
Kind of the issue in every industry right now, really.
It is kind of an issue. So that's been a major disruption. When we went on vacation a couple weeks back, and another family from our staff was on vacation right by us, and their parents were in town, and they were supposed to be flying home on the same day, and they just got an email saying, your flight was canceled. We booked you the next day. And it was just, and they got a car rental. They have to find a place to stay, and they didn't even give a reason. Yeah. They just said canceled.
Well, and the last time I got canceled, some of this has been a policy for a while, but I think it's insane that if your flight gets canceled, they don't take care of you. So the last time I had a flight that I missed because of 3 hour, well, it depends. Mm-hmm. I had 3 hour delay going from Columbus to Greenville via Atlanta. And when I landed in Atlanta, because of the delay, I missed my flight. And they said, sorry, it was weather related. Yep. We can't do a thing.
That's what they say.
I think that's insane. It may not be their fault. This is something I'm going to bring up here in a little bit. But from a spirit of customer service, you think they would say, we're not going to leave you stranded. We're going to take care of you. Fortunately, I mean, I have friends in Atlanta, so I found a place to stay. But I'm just thinking, what about people that don't?
Yeah. Well, it's a reality right now. I think we're living with disruption. I think that's a good point. We are. And I don't, this whole idea of things going back to normal, I think that's all something that we secretly wish for, but I don't think it's a reality. Yeah. I think about, supply chain has been massively disrupted. Yeah. When we saw all those images of those cargo ships just backed up at ports, not being able to get goods into the country. You think about formula. Yeah. That baby formula that you couldn't get. Yeah. So there have been lots of disruptions. You go into the grocery store and there'll just be certain items on the shelf there'll be none.
Right.
And you're like, I've never seen that before. You know what I mean? Right. Just regular staples. You go there and it's like, why are every single one of these gone? Right. You can't find this.
Yeah. So
that's been odd.
Yeah. So what else? Because with the qualifiers, number one, that me and you are very blessed. We have nothing to complain about. No. These are first world problems. Most people in America have nothing to complain about. Very blessed, very fortunate, grateful, so grateful. Qualifier number one. Qualifier number two, it is not productive to complain and be negative. And I hate negativity. But with that, just, I don't know, in a lighthearted spirit, what are your post-pandemic pet peeves? Like, what right now is kind of just like, oh my gosh, this is annoying. Like, this is... I mean, besides gas prices, the fact that I'm not
pet peeve.
I'm not the person that has. This sounds bad, but I've just never like penny pinched. Okay, I'm going to drive 3 miles because this one is 0.1 more. I've never done that. But let me tell you something. When my Nissan Altima that used to be $45 to fill up is now $95.
Yeah,
I'm starting to cancel my 9,000 streaming subscriptions.
You had 9,000 streamers.
I mean, it feels like close to that.
It was.
Which, come on, can we hold hands across America and decide to come up with a
one?
Are we going back to cable? Because we got Hulu, Peacock, Paramount, Netflix,
all of them. I think one of the big disruptions that I've felt has been with probably both stores and restaurants, the schedules. Mm-hmm. Like we now, and I think this becomes the new normal.
Yeah.
We now like call ahead, check to see if places are open. Like I don't even trust websites.
No,
I don't trust websites because websites will tell you one thing. I'll give you an example. This was several Sundays ago. I left church and I, for whatever reason, had a hankering for Subway. I did. Okay.
Who gets a hankering for Subway?
I wanted a
just
sub.
That phrase.
I just wanted a sub. So I went to 2 or 3 Subways. On their website, they were open. Mm-hmm. I went to a local, shut, closed, locked. Yeah. I went to a second one, closed, locked. Mm-hmm. I basically figured out on my own that all the Subways are closed on Sundays. Mm. They're following after Chick-fil-A.
But they didn't update their maps. They didn't update Google.
Yeah, so I pull up on the map. I'm going, okay, I got to find one that's open. Because there's like several around here. I pull it. Oh, this one's open. So I'm going to go to that one. It's closed. Mm. And so, yes, that to me has been kind of, again, this is first world problems we're talking about. We're just being lighthearted. But that's a major pet peeve when businesses and things have not updated their stuff, but they're closing down regularly. There's been local establishments around here that have shut down for lunch. They used to be open for lunch. Yep. They have just some I've seen have literally just closed certain days of the week. Shades did that for quite a while. I don't know if
Yeah.
they still are, but it's like Mondays, Tuesday, Wednesday, closed.
Yeah,
Open Thursday, Friday, And so I think, listen, I understand that these things happen. And because they have it's going back to, and we've talked about this, a shortage of employees, a shortage of supply, a shortage of all these things. The pet peeve, or the thing that's annoying, is the lack of communication. In other words, they're not posting something on their website. They're not updating things when they do it, local stores. And maybe that's the complexity of corporate and franchise and all this good stuff. But
yeah.
So that's been kind of, again, these are, minor inconveniences, but Walmart's not open 24/7.
Yeah.
I never thought I would live in a world where Walmart's not open 24/7.
The adjustment of hours, which again, I understood in the heart of the pandemic. And again, now every business, I'm sure, has their practical reasons. You talk about staff shortages, but it is a first world inconvenience. Every coffee shop I know in Columbus has adjusted even ones that have gone back over the last year and a half to in person, have all adjusted their hours. People that are familiar with Columbus, native to Columbus area, like Fox and Snow, all used to be open until 5, now only 3. Same with multiple ones. I mean, until you go into Chillicothe and experience roast, I'm pretty sure all the stops have adjusted their hours. Planet Fitness, a lot of people here work out at Planet Fitness, used to be like 24/7. Now they close at 6 or 7. Like you said, Walmart used to be 24/7. There's just been a severe adjustment of hours. It's there's been a decline of convenience.
Yes, and I want to be able to work out at 3:00 in the morning at Planet Fitness.
Right.
That's not fair.
Yeah.
And do my grocery shopping at Walmart. I never even went to those places those times. However, I will talk about another inconvenience related to this. So a couple Sundays ago, I was flying back from Houston, and I get in, and when I get into the airport, I was driving my wife's vehicle, and the battery's dead. I had been dealing with it before I left, and I thought it was fixed, and it wasn't. The battery, I think, is shot. So I had to get someone there in the parking lot to give me a jump that works there, and I did. And I thought, okay, on my way home, this was 10:30 at night. Maybe not even 10 o'clock at night. It was like 9 something. I was like, I need to get a battery. I'll go to Walmart. So I go to Walmart. It's before 10 o'clock. The whole automotive place is shut down. Lights are off. And I'm like, can I buy one of these now? I went and found the battery I needed, grabbed it, walked all the way to the front of the store. I get to the front of the store, and it is heavy. And I'm walking all the way to the front of the store. Not one register open that was manned. They had like 3 or 4 self-checkout registers, and they were on the opposite side of the store. So again, we're just having fun with all our first world annoyances. Yeah. These are just stupid. So anybody that's outside of they're going to be like, this is what you have to complain about. So I'm not complaining.
Life is hard.
But yeah, it's hard. So I walk, and I'm carrying this thing, and I have no basket or cart, and it's heavy, and I carry it all the way to the other side. And there is a line halfway back the store because it's only self-checkout. And so now I'm standing in line holding this thing for 10 or 15 minutes till I get a chance to self-checkout. I finally get up there and I self-checkout. As soon as I get done, I'm going to go walk back out to the store because I parked all the way on the other side. And the lady goes, oh, that entrance is closed now. So I was like, you've got to be kidding me. So then I had to go outside. It was just, again, I'm glad I was able to get a battery at almost 10 o'clock at night. So they might not have been open, and I'm thankful that they have it, but not one register open. And so just looking at those things, I was like, okay, this is getting to be, and they probably didn't have staff. I didn't complain. Yeah. I wasn't complaining against Walmart. It was just more annoyed at the moment from what I'm used to. I think that's what we're talking about. We're comparing what life used to be to what it's like now.
Yeah. And I think I told you offline, that's Kroger every day for the last year. Super long lines, right at the self-checkout. Only one self-checkout part is open. Maybe one person in actual human lines. Yeah. And again, we could go down the line of inflation. I told you, I said, finding out that my rent is going up $200 again. Yeah. That makes you want to say sweet words. Because
of the pandemic.
Yes. There's a lot of factors. But yes, partly, definitely
that's one
pandemic driven.
That's one thing that also has been. So we're talking about pet peeves. That's one thing that's also been a pet peeve, and I can't think of a specific example right now. But I've been in restaurants, businesses, stores, things like that, and they have just stopped like serving or doing parts of their business or doing things, and they say it's because of the pandemic. but it like made no sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'll give you an example. Actually, last time I was at Disney.
Okay.
So which was probably earlier this year. I walked up to no, Disney, not Siri. Your phone. Why your phone just go up?
I don't know.
Okay, so I remember walking up to the stand, and one of the things they started doing years back was any of their stands, because it's so hot there, you go up and you ask for a cup of ice water. They'll give you a cup of ice water. Because a bottle of ice water or a bottle of water is going to be $5 to $10 or $15 or $50. And so we used to just go up and grab them. We'd have containers. So I went up and I go to this place and I'm asking, hey, do you have a cup of water? Oh, no, we don't serve those anymore. and I'm like, and I'm thinking to myself, and she said something about, ever since the pandemic, we don't serve it. I'm like, so you're touching all of my food,
right?
And you're still serving me other drinks, but you can't serve water because of the pandemic. And I'm like, how does this even make sense? Hey, go to that stand over there. How does this? I can't even fathom how this makes sense.
I'm trying to think of what it was, but I went to a restaurant. It's a chain. It may have been in the South. I think it was a Southern chain, but they literally reduced their menu options, and they said it's because of the pandemic, which makes sense.
Maybe they couldn't get items. That's possible.
Okay, so, I want to bring up in the spirit of complaining.
Wow. So this podcast is all about griping and complaining about our inconvenient lives.
But I want to go somewhere with it. And before I go somewhere with it, I have a woozy of a complaint. I have a big one. I have a whopper of a complaint.
Okay.
I have a cultural bone to pick. But this cultural bone to pick, I also want to not just posit as a complaint, but as a possibility. Because this is something I want to see a renaissance of.
Okay.
And so just bear with me, because I want to take a minute to set this up. But I want to see a renaissance in culture of the lost art of customer service. And I actually think if you're a business owner out there, take my, in some ways, uneducated 2 cents, if you want to. And it's this. I think that a renaissance in customer service and a renewed priority on excellence and people skills and people care could not only benefit our society, actually culturally and as people, but actually help economically. And so let me set up. I'm a little bit ruined for customer service in a few ways. Number one, my personality trait is pretty hopeless optimism. I have a high priority of when people come into a church or come into a moment or come into a space. If I'm over it and I create it, especially, I want people to come in and feel warmth and feel welcomed and feel excitement and have eye contact and smiles. And I'm a very big environment person. I'm kind of Nazi obsessed with environment and atmosphere. So that's part of my wiring. Part of my other wiring, and this does play a little bit of a difference, is regional. I'm from the Southeast. Southeast is known at times as almost like an overly congenial, hospitable. Hospitality is at a premium. It's hard to go into a place and not be greeted by a warm smile, friendliness. Hey, how are you doing? On top of that, the 3 secular jobs I worked at the longest before I got into ministry were paramount in excellence and quality of customer service. Number 1 was Publix. And if you've never traveled to Florida, you probably don't even know what the heck I'm talking about. Yeah. Publix is kind of in between Kroger and Whole Foods, possibly when it comes to like quality. It's a lot like Kroger.
I think it's like Kroger,
but nicer. And their obsession is customer service.
You think it's nicer?
100%. It's oh yeah. I've
been some really nice Krogers and I've been some really bad Publix.
Yeah, I've never been to a bad Publix.
Oh, I have been.
Okay.
There's plenty of them that are
in
pretty
general,
average.
especially the ones I worked at and visited, they're obsessed with cleanliness. You ever go into a Publix restroom, it's going to be spotless. On top of that, their whole obsession is customer service. It's the one grocery chain that they, unless you don't want them to, will not let you take your own groceries out to your car. They literally, not only will they bag all your groceries for you with a smile, but then they'll say, hey, let me take these out for you. They will walk your cart out to your car and put your groceries in your car for you.
Never had that offered once, and I've been to many Publix.
Oh, you've been to bad ones then. I'm telling you, because I worked for them for 3 years.
Where did you work for them, though? It wasn't in Florida.
In Greenville.
Okay, see, it might be different.
No, I'm telling you, because I know people that have worked at all these. If you had a bad Publix experience, that was an anomaly.
But it's not been bad. I'm just telling you, I've never once had anybody offer to take my stuff out to the car, and that's what we go to when we go on vacation, when we visit our friends. We go to Publix in St. Pete, Tampa.
Okay, so then maybe you're proving my point that across the board, customer service, even at some of these places, has gone down. I don't know. I'm just telling you, when I worked there, because I'm telling you the videos we watched, even from a national, from corporate, is these are the expectations and standards.
Yeah.
And I know I would have gotten in trouble as an employee had I never done that. Other things, the small things, every single person that walked in the store was met with eye contact, smile. We're so glad that you're here. Every single time somebody comes through a line, they're met with a smile. We were taught that when somebody comes in, whatever your job or task is, whether you're maybe putting ice cream away, whatever, your job first and foremost is always the customer. It's always the guest. So, even small things that to this day stick with me, like don't pass it up, pick it up. If you see something, the whole spotlessness of the store is on you. You don't pass it up, you pick it up. You don't just wait for somebody else to clean it. You don't point, you show. In other words, if somebody says, hey, where is the steak or where's the restroom? You don't say, oh, it's over there. You say, hey, let me walk with you. I'll show you. Yeah.
It's a common customer service.
It's just basic, but it's not so common. So that's my whole thing. And so it has been tough for me when I first moved here. I went into a Kroger and I asked somebody where something, not greeted when I come in, not whatever. And I know this sounds so complaining to people. I'm just telling you, I am admittedly ruined when it comes to customer service because of these things. But I walked into a Kroger, not greeted, not smiled at. I had to find somebody to ask where something was. And the guy looked at me, and it may have just been a teenager, didn't know any better. But again, doesn't seem to be trained on customer service. Looked at me and said, yeah, I don't really know, man. I'm sorry. I walked away. I came back. I said, hey, I can't find it. I just tried. Can you show me? His words were, sorry, man. I'm trying to do my job here. So
that's awesome.
So Publix ruined me in that. And then I work at a store. Some of you will remember this, called The Buckle. Mm-hmm. Now listen, The Buckle at times can get a bad rap because maybe you had somebody, quote unquote, help you that was too aggressive, too salesman-y, too whatever. Again, that's not what you're trained to do. I still remember the Buckle mission statement, which is to create the most enjoyable shopping experience possible for a guest. So again, people come in, they're smiled, they're cared for. We had free alteration, free layaway programs. Mm-hmm. We had over 100 brands. They were supposed to show you in a non-pushy way product that would help you go above and beyond. And it was, and if done right, it was the most enjoyable experience ever. Again, juxtapose this to where I went to a store a few months ago, and at the Buckle, we would clean and take away clothes people were trying it on. Because we wanted to keep things clean, but also interact with the guests. And we didn't even call them customers; they were guests. They came in there, they were prized, they were treasured. You walk into most, retail stores now, and they don't care that you're there. You're not even looked at. You're not even greeted. And literally, I tried some things on in the dressing room, came out, and they said, hey, if you don't mind, before you leave, just to put that up. And the thought, again, I didn't say this out loud, was if I at Buckle ever asked somebody to do my job for me, I would have been fired.
Wow.
And then finally, I know I'm going a long ways away. Finally, I worked at a restaurant for 2 years called Saul Good. It won, Restaurant of the Year award for a couple of years in Lexington, Kentucky. And it was the former chef at Disney had combined with the former executive vice president of Hard Rock Cafe. And so the customer service, I'm talking, you had a 15-second rule for somebody to be greeted at a table. Mm-hmm. If somebody was seated in your area and you didn't greet in 15 seconds, you were in danger of being fired. If you didn't remove ketchup bottles before the dessert came out, you were in danger of being fired. If you didn't make sure you bussed and were super attentive, it was the most. I got cussed out about 10 times my first week, which I'm not saying is healthy. All of that long rambling to say,
well,
what's
your point?
It brought in me. It's been ingrained in me the power of treating customers with respect and putting people at the priority. And I think one of the things that's been lost over the last few years, and especially over the pandemic, and I get it, part of it's hard with staff shortages. But, on a church perspective, me and you've talked about articles and things we've read, even just things we've noticed and reflected on, is that in a day and age where people can pick up podcasts whenever they want to, listen to messages wherever they are, what really makes the difference moving forward is when people come into a space, they number one, find authentic community, and number two, actually have transcendent experiences and moments that do something deep in their soul and that affect their life. I actually think on a secular level could be something that could be a financial renaissance, is the renaissance of actually customer service and care. Because you juxtapose what I just told you with last weekend. I went to a store to try to return things at I won't say it, this is a store in Easton, it's a place we shop. And I had the most horrific experiences all weekend long. I'm trying to return something. They said, sorry, you don't have a receipt. And I said, yeah, I know, I lost a receipt. I'm sorry. Again, going back to buckle days. If somebody we never let people abuse the policy. If they didn't have tags or receipts and it was from a year ago, we'd say, hey, probably nothing we can do. But for the most part, we were taught, hey, whenever a customer comes in, you can ruin their day or make their day. Find a way to make their day. Losing a little bit of money is worth having somebody have an incredible experience and keep coming back.
Keeping a customer.
But I came in and they said, yeah, sorry, there's a new rule where unless you have the receipt, you can't even get some. I said, look, I don't expect you to give me my cash back without a receipt. I literally are just going to get something from same store from in here. And they said, no, you literally have to get the exact same price, exact same item, just different size. I said, but no, you guys don't even have dressing rooms still. And I didn't like this. They said, sorry, you can't. And they said, actually, maybe our managers could. And I said, well, where's your manager? They said, I don't know. You want to go look for him? I said, no.
You want to go look for him? How would I know which one's the manager?
I don't know. I said, do you want to go look for him? I don't even know who they are. I know I'm rambling. Anyways, long story short, they spent forever, came back, brought, and said, hey, actually, we can't even find where the managers are, and they're not picking up the phone. Will you come back tomorrow? I said, I live 25 minutes away. They said, just come back tomorrow. I'm pretty sure they can do it for you. I come back the next day, 25 minutes away to Easton, find a manager, and they said, yeah, sorry, that's the policy. They've changed the policy. There's nothing we can do for you. It ended up being the worst experience ever. All that rambling to say, I have my cultural bone to pick is I would love to see a renaissance of customer service. I think there is a reason, because here's the crazy thing. We're talking about inflation and economic times. In 2008 when the economy crashed, the one retailer that kept growing? The Buckle.
Maybe they'll be the one that keeps growing right now.
Do you know it's still an anomaly how Chick-fil-A continues to exceed all of its competition by a lot? And I don't just think it's the blessing of they take a day off, which maybe that's part of it. I also think you're hard pressed to go to a Chick-fil-A where you don't feel like, man, they go above and beyond to make things helpful for you, to take care of you. So are you on board with me? Let's go on a mission to revive the art of customer service.
I think a better question to at least ask in regards to that is, why have we lost a sense of customer service over the last 2 years? I think that's probably a fascinating question or thought to, because yes, I would agree. I mean, I think there's a lot of things that have played into that. And so I do think it's a great idea. It's a great reminder for anybody listening that, it's been really challenging when you don't have the staff, and then the staff that you do have are overworked. And then you got to think about, again, not making an excuse for it, but I think, why are we experiencing that? I think some of it has been the 2 years of the global disruption. What has it done to us as humans? What has it done to people's emotional status? What has it done? Why is it that people are not offering good customer service? Just in general, why are they being a little more curt, a little short, a little, well, do you want to go look for them? Why are they saying things like that? And I wonder if I think it begs a deeper question, which is, are we just now, and how long are we going to feel the effects of what the last 2 years has cost in us emotionally?
Yeah.
What's it caused in humanity? That whenever there's tragedy, like we've experienced, global disruption, like we've experienced, there's been isolation. You think about going all this time with masks, and masks, there was mandate for a while, but then how many stores and restaurants in businesses still had to maintain masks, and there's still employees too, and not being able to understand, losing, a sense of the smile when you come in, losing a sense of connection.
Right.
There's so much connection that happens in the face.
Yeah.
And so I wonder how much that is played into what you are perceiving, what other people are experiencing, which is a lack of customer service. And I do think you are right though. In times where you do experience recession, you have a greater level of competition to get people's business. I mean, if you have less business going around, if people have less extra money to spend, if people are going to scale back and have to buy their, I'm not doing as much discretionary spending, and we are going to have to think about where we're buying our food, all those things. The question is, are you going to go to some place where you've had bad experiences with customer service, or are you going to go to a place where you have a great experience with customer service?
Well,
that does.
And here's what I learned in retail is people are far more likely, 10 times more likely to tell their friend about a bad experience than a good experience. And that's what people don't realize, even economically, not just culturally, but it is a double-edged sword, because you're right. I'm not trying to be insensitive. Look, I've been on the side of working long hours at a restaurant. I've been on the side of, so I have empathy for that. And especially in 2020, can imagine with the mask and being overworked, underpaid. I get it. I have empathy for that. But on the flip side, not only do you do society and your guests, your customers a service when you realize they don't have to give me their business, I'm going to give them the best experience possible. Not only do you benefit them, but you benefit you. So if you're a leader of an organization, you're the leader of the company, you got to realize that when you train your employees to do their job with excellence and with kindness and with intentionality and with intuition of the needs of the guest, and when you as an employee decide, man, this may not be my lifelong career, I may kind of hate it right now, but you know what, I'm going to bring intentionality and diligence and greatness to this job. It actually does something internally inside of you. See, what I didn't realize at the time in all three of those jobs is all three of those jobs deposited something in me that prepared me for what I do now.
Yeah.
Every single one of them. Every single one of them. Buckle taught me how to have difficult conversations, and it taught me the power of pace and multitasking and Publix, the power of customer service, the power of going the extra mile, the power of Saga taught me the power, all of those things. And what we don't realize is when we create great experiences, when we bring greatness to companies, it is going to bring economic benefit, and it's going to bring emotional and mental health benefits to the people you're serving and to the people who are serving it.
Yeah.
And so it's a small thing, but and I even asked you earlier, because I've been on both sides, I even think sometimes on the whole thought of when people are closing.
Yeah.
I think it's rude to show up at a restaurant right before close and stay hours late. Because look, I've been on the other side of that. That sucks. On the flip side, I think it's rude when you have guests coming in. If you're a gym, I've experienced a lot, or a business or a restaurant, and you start closing and rushing people out early. This may sound weird, but I had some friends ask me to go to Roosters the other day after I worked out at Lifetime. And I was waiting in.
That'll reverse it.
Yeah, but they did. But I was waiting at the place, and the two girls behind the counter were so kind and smiled, asked how I was doing, and then one of them she came up to me and said, "Hey, I'm so sorry. Will it bother you? You stay as long as we're not in any rush. You stay as long as you want to. And in about an hour, we're going to be closing. I thought about sweeping over there to get started, but are you okay with that? I won't do that if that'll bother you." And I was like, thank you for even asking me. I said, go ahead, do that. And I said, and then I looked at her and I said, you know what? Thank you for actually bringing great customer service. The fact that you communicated and you brought great customer service, it was actually a pick me up. Cause I'm like, that's So this people listening may think, what in the world? Why am I? If you're listening, God bless your heart. I just
Russ just needed to get off of.
I needed to get off my chest,
and he just didn't know where else to do it.
And I really think this is one of those I really think customer service is one of those secret sauces, financially and culturally. I really do. Like, think about it. We spend a good bulk of our lives out in public at grocery stores, at restaurants, at gyms. What would happen if we just, we all talk about how short fused people are and how, irritable people are. What if we just started in the heart and the core of some of our businesses and franchises and said, no, we're going to stand apart. We're going to be the people that go the extra mile. We're going to be the people that take care of people. We're going to be the people that value making people's day. I actually think that could go so much farther in society than we realize.
Are you done?
I'm done. The end.
Are you feel better?
The end. I feel better.
Good. I think those are all great thoughts. I think with what we are facing, and talking about disruption and how our lives and our economy and everything are probably going to continue to be disrupted. Like you said, that's going to probably be a little bit more of the norm. Yeah. I think the question is, and the same thing for us, and what we do. We don't consider what we do in church a form of competition, like we're competing with every other church, but I do think that we are competing for people's attention. We're competing for people's time. Anytime you're trying to engage with people or community, whether you're a business, a nonprofit, whatever, you are competing for their attention and their time. And I think it's a great reminder for all of us that how you care for them and how you do, it will probably cause you to stand out. And I really do think, it's kind of the point I was making, that with disruption is that we can see this as either an opportunity or we can see this as a problem. Like, we can see what we're going. Yeah. Disruption can either really mess you up and you have this very doom and gloom, pessimistic type of attitude, or you can see it as no, there's an opportunity for us. And that would be really awesome for business owners, churches, for other ones to go, hey, this is really trying times. What an opportunity we have to stand out to our community, to stand out and go, wow, when it's darkest, that's when we can be the brightest. Yeah. And that doesn't have to just be a metaphor with church. Yeah. I think that could be the same thing with every restaurant when you're competing and you're at Easton, you're competing with every retail place down the strip, Yeah. So how do we stand out?
So what you heard my long rampage of what I want to see a renaissance in. What do you want to see a renaissance in? What needs to be, what would you like to see revived coming out of
oh, geez.
We've talked about a lot of the spiritual, emotional, mental things, but
so we're not saying gas prices back down under $3 a gallon. That can be revived.
Yeah. Prices, hours,
and hours. Man, it could be. Customer service. That's a big one. I want to see. I want to see a. I think there is something that is still present in our culture that we are a bit people averse. I think there is something that still exists where we are. If you think about it, for 2 years we're told, be careful of your neighbor because they could infect you. Yeah. Or be careful, you could affect grandma. Or be careful. And I understand why we maybe felt like we had to do that. I understand all of that. I'm not discrediting what we maybe felt like we had to do as a nation to kind of combat with a global pandemic. But I just wonder the effects of that. Like, what are the implications of that? What has been lost in that we can get back? You said something earlier that I actually agree with. You didn't mention this time, but we were just kind of bouncing thoughts before, which is movie theaters. Yeah. I actually went to a movie theater once in Houston. I had some time to kill by myself. There's actually what better thing to do when you're by yourself than a movie theater, right? You don't have to interact with somebody.
Hate that. I love it.
You don't have to interact with anybody during the entire movie. So what difference does it make if you're sitting next to somebody? You don't talk to them anyways. Right. So, but just the experience of going to a movie theater or other things that maybe we've lost that are experiential. I hope that we can see a resurgence of those because there are a lot of places like that shut down. I just think a resurgence. Here's another one. You can call me a little bit old fashioned, all this, but there had been so much talk about us being remote. There's so much talk about, hey, can we make the work week so that, it's, we're not having to be in the office. For me personally, not being around our team was awful.
Yeah.
And so this idea that everything can be virtual, I don't need to talk to somebody. I'll give you another example of just kind of pet peeves and what would see it come back. When I've had a couple organizations that I've tried to reach because I'm having issue. It goes back to customer service, and they won't answer the phone. I've actually had some businesses that this is just a sidebar, but like where you used to order takeout from, but I understand they don't have the people, so they just literally just shut their phone off. So you call and it just goes dead busy, and they're open. You can't reach them. But I've also had other organizations that you can't get a hold of. And like there are some organizations that during the pandemic and because of it got busier. So their business got busier. I've actually had situations with companies that their business got so busy during the pandemic that they've had to shut off actually being able to have someone available you can talk to on the phone. And I'm like, wait a minute. If you got so busy, man, your profit margins have to be better than ever. But we're not going to hire people. And so they've shifted to, hey, you can't talk to anybody on the phone. When I was releasing a book, one of the companies that I used to do that, I hate to call them out, but Ingram Sparks, they literally were one that have gotten so big in what they do that you can't ever talk to a person on the phone. They've actually removed phone number whatsoever. So again, I know it seems antiquated. Why you send them an email? Well, because when you send an email, you might get a response for 3 days.
Right.
And that happened 3 or 4 days before I ever got a response. Whereas I know even if I got to be on hold, I want to get somebody on the other line. I want to talk to them.
Yeah.
So I think there's something about the human interaction or human customer service or human like that I feel like we've lost. And it's almost like, hey, we can just make it all virtual now. I'm like, let's not make it all virtual. Right. I want to come into the office, even if I'm all for flexibility and all that. But I want to be around people because I think there's something that happens dynamically in team environments and collaboration. Yeah. I think our creativity flows in groups and just the way ideas form and bounce and things that we create, we do. It happens in the synergy of being with people and team. It doesn't by yourself. And so I don't know. There's a whole lot with customer service, but how about filling car lots? I mean, you want to bring something back. I mean, filling car lots, like car lots. One of the things that they found when we didn't have chips supply line to be able to get new cars, which drove price of used cars up and new cars, was that I've been told by general managers and other ones that they think that we're not going back to the day and age where if you needed to go shop for a new car, that you go walk onto a lot and there was a lot of different options and you could buy one. Like if you need to get a new car, you probably need to shop ahead of time and then you would order it and then you'd wait a month or 2 months for that car to come in, which again, these are first world problems. I totally get it. But then I
feel like I need to make a gratitude
But then
list.
I think to myself, man, I hope I don't have like engine blow and I'm in trouble. Because if you're in trouble, you don't have the option for what you need to get. And so again, these are just minor things, but customer service, I think, is something that I agree with you that we probably need to elevate. We need to highlight more.
Starbucks, I usually make my own coffee in the morning. Yeah, I feel like I'm gonna have to make a gratitude list after this podcast.
Yeah, you were pretty negative. He's really pessimistic. I'm the optimistic one, just based on my message.
Anybody that knows me knows I am crazy optimistic. I'm usually extremely positive, and I am positive. This is more lighthearted. But customer service is near and dear to me. I am spoiled and ruined probably for life when it comes to customer service, and so I have to continue to lower my expectations.
Or people need to raise the bar.
I don't know. It's both. It's probably both, and I think. But I was even picking one of my friends that works at Starbucks. I'm like, and this happens. Some of this has been happening before pandemic. It's not all pandemic related. I think it's some ways societally we can step up again. I think, but I'll get a pour over going through Starbucks. Well, a pour over.
They do pour overs at Starbucks.
They've done it for about 5 years now. Well, admittedly, it takes a little bit longer, but there's a quality of taste to it that if I'm going to go through, I'm going to pay for it. And you pay more for it. And then I noticed several times in a row that when I did it, it wasn't a pour over, it was an Americano. And I found out from some of my friends that work there said, yeah, we don't like making those because it takes longer. So we just do Americano and call it and hope they don't notice.
And hope they don't notice?
Hope they don't notice. And then I went a couple times and I asked for pour over, and they literally just said, I know this. It sounds so snobbish even as I'm saying it. But they said, but one of the times I was doing it, they said, yeah, I mean, we have that on brewed. Do you not just want that? And I was like, and again, the part of me that's been ingrained in customer service just cringes.
Yeah.
Because if I were to have ever said that in any of those customer service oriented jobs, I would have been fired. And I was like, nope, I want to pour over. And they're like, honestly, I don't know that we have time to make that right now. Can we just get you something else?
I wonder if, and just, we could probably wrap up this conversation unless you have more complaints. But I wonder too how much employees, and I can't prove this. I've seen some interactions. I wonder how much employees are actually responding because of how they have been treated by their employers in these seasons too. Like, because I've seen some of that. I've seen, So rude customers is another big one. Sure. They're like like we said, all across the board, there is an emotional reaction that's happening. And I think we're in the fallout of the pandemic, which is to say that people have been ruder. They have a short fuse. They're losing their temper. We're less patient. And that's happening from the customer. It's happening with the employee. And I would argue and say, I bet it's happening with the employer.
Yeah, sure.
So when the employers aren't treating the employees well, then they also have a bad attitude and don't care that much about the customers that they're serving for the place that they're working. Yeah. And so I think it's holistic. And I do think what you're experiencing, we might experience for a while, I think is a little bit of a contraction from what's happened over the last 2 years.
And look, I mean, I'm picking. Here's what I've said this before though, and this probably is a root to all this too. Is I do think we're experiencing a pandemic, a famine of joy. There is a decrease of joy and peace, and people are stressed and people are overworked, and we have a shortage of employees and a lot of those employees that are going through their own personal things and then probably feel unappreciated and are not at times maybe trained well. And let's just be honest, it starts from the top down. If a company doesn't decide that customer service is our premium, that's going to trickle down. Employees aren't going to be trained in that way. They're not going to be held to that standard. So apart from me needing to make a gratitude list after this, because even jokingly, I hate complaining, and I am an extremely happy person. I'm so grateful, and I'm more blessed than I could ever imagine. It sounds cliche, but I really do believe that. But let me twist this complaint to just say this. Sometimes we mistreat others or we don't bring our best because of a lack of joy. But if I could flip that on its head for just maybe a simple challenge to all of us, sometimes when we finally bring our best, that's when joy comes. There is actually, I think I heard Craig Rochelle say this one time. He said, don't ever underestimate the thrill of bringing your best to everything God has put in your hands. And I don't care if you are working at McDonald's or you're on staff ministry or in a warehouse, there is a satisfaction, an internal self-respect and a strength that comes when you decide I'm going to bring my best, as if I'm doing it for God and serving people in whatever I'm given. And there's actually a joy that comes to that. I heard somebody else say one time, I've learned that I can't wait till I feel like doing it, but I'm not going to feel better until I do. Yeah. And there's some ways that I think until we just start bringing our best in every area. And so if you're in I don't know, if you're working at a clothing store that just ignores customers are the annoyance. I mean, this is a great reminder, though, for all of us that work anywhere, whether you define the people that come into your space as customers or not. I mean, can we just be real practical about it? They're the reason you have a job.
Yeah. They stop buying?
They stop buying, you stop getting paid.
Yeah.
So even just from that perspective, even if it's not from a human perspective, let's just be the kind of people that serve. Let's have a posture of serving people that come into our world, come into our space, come into our environments. Let's serve them with joy. Let's serve them with instinct to their needs. Let's serve them with a smile. Let's serve them with an eagerness.
You mean let's be Chick-fil-A?
Let's be Chick-fil-A in every area of our life. And Chick-fil-A sauce. I'm just saying.
Secret sauce is customer service.
The secret sauce is customer service.
It's not Chick-fil-A sauce.
The secret sauce. Hey, I mean, here at church, let's say it this way. This may sound corporate. The secret sauce is the atmosphere and the culture of our servant leaders, our volunteers every week.
Mm-hmm.
That's the secret sauce.
It is.
That's the secret sauce. Shout out to all the servant leaders of X Church.
Yep.
When people come in and they are smiled at, feel welcomed, are hugged, or people are complimenting them, speaking life into them, when we've gone the extra way to prepare our space for them, when we've gone the extra way to do whatever we can to bring excellence to activities and to presentation, when people feel I heard somebody say one time, you can know how much honor you have for your guests by your level of preparation. If your favorite athlete or politician was coming to your house next week, what would you do to prepare? So when people are coming to our spaces, in our churches, in our businesses, in our homes, what can we do to serve people?
Yeah.
And let's just raise the level again. I'm gonna flip this to positive. Let's raise the level again in every sphere of our life to make people feel valued, to bring excellence and respect to our product, and to bring joy back to the world. And I am with you.
Be Chick-fil-A.
Call me an old soul.
Yeah.
I don't ever want the movie experience to go away, and I don't ever want brick and mortar bookstores to go away. Yeah. Those are two things I hope stay the same. And then let's have a renaissance of joy and excellence in customer service.
I'm with you. Let's do it.
We love you. If you enjoyed this,
why?
We just wanted to have a fun one-off. So hopefully you enjoyed it, and let's. Maybe
people could tell us if they've had bad experiences.
Yeah, let us know. What is your actually?
Come complain to Russ. He
complain
likes it.
to me, and
he likes it. Send your complaints to podcast@thex.church.
Podcast@thex.church. And as always, if you have any things you'd love to hear us talk about, discuss, let us know. Small, light, serious, trivial, whatever. We try to just talk about it all. So until next time, thank you for being part of the X Podcast. We'll see you next week.